It's time for Palestine to become an independent nation. The Palestinian people have endured far too long under the brutal occupation of Israel, which represents one of the longest-standing and gravest human rights violations in the world by Zionist colonizers. The Palestinian population has suffered for decades due to the brutal Israeli occupation. In this video, we will delve into the history of the Israel-Palestine conflict, its impact on the Palestinian people, and why it is time for the Palestinian nation to achieve independence in this increasingly modern era. Historical background of the Israel-Palestine conflict. The history of the Israel-Palestine conflict is a long and complex narrative that began in the 20th century. In 1947, the United Nations (UN) proposed the partition of Palestine into two states, one for the Jewish people and one for the Arab Palestinians. However, this proposal was rejected by Arab nations, leading to the outbreak of the First Arab-Israeli War in 1948. Since then, the conflict has involved numerous wars, failed peace negotiations, and ongoing tensions between the two parties. One significant event in this conflict was the Six-Day War in 1967, during which Israel captured the West Bank, Gaza Strip, and East Jerusalem from Jordan and Egypt. Israel also initiated the construction of settlements in these territories, which has been a constant source of tension. Impact of Israeli occupation on the Palestinian people. The impact of Israeli occupation on the Palestinian people has been profound. One consequence has been the loss of land and homes for hundreds of thousands of Palestinians due to conflict and Israeli settlement construction. Many Palestinians continue to suffer as they have lost their homes and are forced to live as refugees both inside and outside Palestinian territories. Furthermore, the population in Gaza has suffered immensely due to the long-standing Israeli blockade. This blockade has restricted access to food, medicine, clean water, and basic services, resulting in a severe humanitarian crisis. Many Palestinian children in Gaza grow up in difficult conditions with inadequate access to education and healthcare. Residents of the West Bank also face numerous challenges in their daily lives due to the continued expansion of Israeli settlements. They often encounter discrimination and violence from Israeli settlers and security forces. Limited mobility and stringent checkpoints make their daily lives difficult. International support for Palestinian independence. Over time, many countries and international organizations have recognized the right to Palestinian self-determination and condemned Israeli occupation. In 1988, the Palestine Liberation Organization (PLO) declared Palestinian independence, and since then, over 130 countries have recognized Palestine as an independent entity. While this recognition is a positive step, much work remains to achieve full independence for the Palestinian people. Additionally, UN resolutions like UN Security Council Resolutions 242 and 338 have emphasized the importance of a two-state solution as a way to resolve the Israel-Palestine conflict. This solution would involve the establishment of an independent and sovereign Palestinian state alongside Israel. However, the implementation of this solution continues to be hindered by tensions and disagreements between the two parties. Time for concrete action. It is time for concrete action to grant independence to the Palestinian people. The Palestinian population has endured suffering for decades, and a fair solution must be sought. Some steps that can be taken to promote Palestinian independence include: peace negotiations. Efforts must continue to reach a peaceful agreement between Israel and Palestine. This involves dialogue and compromise from both sides to achieve a sustainable two-state solution. Halt Israeli settlements. Israel must cease the construction of settlements in the West Bank and East Jerusalem. These settlements have been a major source of tension in the conflict. Release of Palestinian prisoners. Israel should release Palestinian political prisoners and cease the practice of arbitrary arrests and detentions without due process. Lift Gaza blockade. The blockade on Gaza should be lifted, allowing humanitarian aid to flow into the region to help the suffering Palestinian population. International support. The international community should continue to provide political, economic, and humanitarian support to Palestine in their quest for independence. Education and economic development. Investment in education and economic development in Palestinian territories is crucial. This will help create better conditions for the younger generation of Palestinians and improve the overall quality of life. It is time for the Palestinian nation to achieve independence in their own land. There is no state of Israel as it is, in fact, Palestinian land seized by Western colonizers. Therefore, the current Israel is merely a puppet state of Western powers on Palestinian Arab land. Palestinian independence is a fundamental right that should be respected by all parties, and concrete actions must be taken to end the prolonged suffering. With collective efforts, we can hope for a future of peace and justice for the Palestinian people.